I'm Joel Landmine. I'm a poet, so I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing here, but Rob asked me to come in, and we're all here to celebrate our favorite egomaniac with a inferiority complex. He keeps telling me he's a writer, and I didn't believe him until I had a book in my hand. So he's actually releasing a book. They exist. They're on the table. Buy one. First up tonight is Mike Monson, the author of the crime noir novellas The Scent of New Death and What Happens in Reno, as well as the novel Tussinland? 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 Like Robitussin? Okay. Right on. He's also the associate editor of the quarterly crime fiction journal All Due Respect, and the co-publisher of the new crime fiction indie publishing company All Due Respect Books, which put out Uncle Dust. And he lives and works in fabulous Modesto, California. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Mike Monson.
Okay, so this story is called Victor Blank is the Son of a Bitch. And it's based on some friends of ours in Modesto. Their names are Kim and Ted Leroy. And they have this thing every Wednesday night called, they work at Costco, and every Wednesday night they're both off and they tend to have wild parties. They call it Wild Wednesday. And what I did was just sort of take the Wild Wednesday, and just my imagination went wild for what's the worst possible thing that could happen that one of those nights, and this is what the story is. And I kind of want to dedicate it to Kim and Ted because they recently separated, because Kim was sick of Ted. He didn't do anything. He needed to get a hearing aid. He wouldn't get a hearing aid. He never got a cell phone, a smartphone, wasn't on social media. She was tired of that, so she left him. And while she was gone, he got a hearing aid and got a smartphone and texted her that he got a hearing aid and told her that he was doing a lot of stuff. So they're back together now. So I want to dedicate this to their marriage being intact. And so here's Victor Blank, the Son of a Bitch. Sadie and Earl did not invite Victor Blank to their little get-together. Fucker, once he gets drinking, can't he give his hands to himself, Sadie said, took a shot of Jaeger with her left hand and sucked hard at a joint from her right. Is that dude that was all over my shit on the 4th, Julie said. That's the one, Sadie said. She poured a shot for Julie and for Julie's new husband, Tommy. She passed the joint to Earl. What an asshole, Julie said, taking her shot in one loud gulp. Same one that keeps pounding the fuck out of Teresa, Sadie said. Bitch won't leave him. He makes me happy, she says. That's fucked up. Plus, I think the dude is going psycho from all the meth he's been snorting. Teresa will never learn, Julie said. Put her in a room full of great, handsome guys and one dumbass, homely, wannabe wife beater, and she'll go off with the abuser every time. I have no sympathy for her. You'd have to admit that your own picker's been off a time or two, Sadie said. I've got black-eye pics on my iPhone to prove it. That's behind me now, Julie said as she reached out and pulled Tommy's face to hers for a long kiss. Sadie watched. She sighed. She said, shaking her head and looking hard at Tommy. How do you know Teresa won't bring him, Tommy said. He did drink a shot, but took the joint from Earl and took a long hit. He passed the weed on to Julie. He was not going to get drunk tonight. He'd have a little, sure. A couple of shots couldn't hurt. She knows I think the son of a bitch is a rotten son of a bitch, Sadie said. I won't have him here. You know he was actually in fucking prison for nearly beating his second wife to death. I just found that shit out. Sadie poured 4 more shots. Sadie, Earl, Julie, and Tommy drank. The joint and the shots went around 4 more times. Tommy kept smoking but refrained from taking more shots. Earl got up from the kitchen table. He pulled the tray of appetizers out of the oven. Jalapeno poppers, Chung King pork egg rolls, bagel bites, chicken nuggets. Earl didn't talk much. He did all the shopping and the cooking and the cleaning. Sadie was the talker. Bring over a big plate of that shit, Earl, Sadie said, and bring another bottle of Jaeger while you're at it. Earl and Sadie and Julie, they all worked at the Gallo Winery as laborers in the bottling plant. They'd known each other for years, through the 22-year marriage of Earl and Sadie, and through the so far 2 divorces and now 3rd marriage of Julie. Teresa was also an old friend from Gallo, though she'd been fired from the bottling plant several years before after getting caught in the parking lot giving blowjobs to one of the security guards. Tommy had moved to Modesto 6 months earlier. He was an engineer with the Modesto Irrigation District. He met Julie at the White Elephant Lounge his first week in town. She had wild, curly blonde hair and a huge ass tucked into the tightest jeans he'd ever seen. He could not resist. She moved in with him a week later, and they got married in Vegas a month after that. Tommy was in a phase where he was trying to control his drinking. Before moving to Modesto, he'd had many nights of drinking tequila. We'd wake up with bloody, scarred knuckles and no idea how they got that way. Several times the police had knocked down his door in the morning because a girlfriend or the previous night's date had pressed charges for the beating he'd given her. Luckily, he'd eventually convinced each of them to let him off the hook, once having to even take a beating from a girl's father and two of her brothers before she agreed to drop the charges. Julie didn't know about those nights. Those were locked away in the past, and he wanted to keep it that way. He figured if he kept mostly stoned and stayed away from tequila, he'd remain agreeable and nonviolent. At 10 o'clock, Teresa finally showed up holding aloft a huge bottle of Patron tequila. "Shit, baby," Sadie said. "Where the hell did you get that?" "Stole it from Victor," she said, "after I kicked his ass out." When Teresa talked, she covered her mouth with her hands to hide the missing teeth from Victor's beatings. "Woo-hoo," Sadie said. "Let's drink to you fucking coming to your fucking senses. God damn it. And we'll use the son of a bitch's booze. Shots all around." Teresa joined them at the table. She was wearing tight black leggings and a cut-up black Oakland Raiders t-shirt. In spite of her extreme thinness, lanky hair, and missing teeth, Tommy thought she was cute as hell. He got the feeling that she liked him a little too. He tried to be careful so that Julie didn't see him staring or giving Teresa too much attention, or she'd have his ass. Tommy couldn't resist taking a couple shots of the tequila. Patron? God, he loved that shit. However, 2 shots turned to 4 and 4 to 8, and by midnight Tommy, along with everyone else at the table, was totally wasted. Julie was completely passed out, her head in Tommy's lap. At first, no one even noticed that Victor Blank had joined them. He just appeared, standing at the head of the table, holding Sadie's tiny chihuahua, Corny. The dog whimpered and then barked, startling Sadie. "What the fuck," Sadie said, coming out of a reverie. "Put that dog down now and get the fuck out of here. God damn it." Victor Blank did not move. He smiled at Sadie and then at Teresa. He was wearing cut-off shorts only. His sinewy muscles glistened with sweat off of his lean frame. He'd recently shaved his head, and there were cuts and drips of blood all over his bare scalp. "Nice little doggy," Victor said. He twisted the dog's neck and then flung his body at Sadie, hitting her full in the face. "By Corny!" Sadie screamed as she caught her dead pet after it had bounced off her nose. Earl charged at Victor. Earl was a big guy, about 6'1" and 240 pounds, but Victor pushed him aside like he was nothing. Victor took a pistol out from behind his back and fired it at the refrigerator. The bullet ricocheted off the steel door and then hit the TV on the kitchen counter, shattering the screen. "Don't want no trouble," Victor said. "Just came to pick up Teresa. It's getting late and she has to work early in the morning. Poor thing needs her sleep, you know." "Victor," Teresa said, "I told you we're through. Just go." "Teresa," Victor said, "you know I love you dearly, and you know we belong together. Come along now." "Fuck you, you fucking asshole," Sadie said. "I'm calling the cops." Sadie reached for her cell phone and Victor shot her in the ear. She screamed. Earl ran over to her and Victor shot him in the ass. Earl went down with a yelp. "Okay then," Victor said, and reached out his right hand, palm up, finger spread. "Teresa, are you ready, darling?" Julie woke up and raised her head from Tommy's lap. She saw Victor and the bleeding, crying Sadie at the table and Earl on the floor. She saw the dead Corny in Sadie's arms. "Shit, Teresa," Julie said. "You can sure pick 'em. Jesus." "Fuck you, Julie," Teresa said. "You aren't much better." Teresa looked at Tommy. Present company accepted, of course. "Fucking bitch," Julie said. "Why don't you go off with your psycho boyfriend before he kills us all?" "She's right, baby," Victor said. "Come on now, it's time to go home." Victor leaned over Tommy and Julie and tried to grab Teresa by her neck. His hand holding the gun was right in Tommy's face, pointing up at the ceiling. Tommy grabbed Victor's wrist with both hands and slammed the gun down to the table. Tommy elbowed Victor in the nose. There was a crack and blood spurted out of Victor's nostrils. He dropped the gun. No one moved or spoke for a moment. The only sound was the dripping of Victor's blood on the plate that had contained the now long gone deep-fried treats. Plop, plop, plop. Sadie grabbed the gun. She put the end of the barrel right on the spot where she hoped Victor's heart was located. She shot twice. "That's for killing my dog, asshole," Sadie said. Victor fell into Teresa and Julie's lap. Julie pushed him off and onto the top of the table. Sadie got a washcloth and held it to her ear. Teresa helped Earl stand up and lean against the kitchen counter. They all watched as Victor bled from his chest and his nose. Tommy picked up the Patron. He took a long, long drink straight from the bottle. He slammed the bottle down on the table, leaned his head way back until he was staring at the ceiling, and then screamed, long and loud. Julie put her hands out to Tommy and tried to pull him to her. "Hey, babe," she said, "maybe you better take it easy." Tommy jerked his arms away from Julie, took another long pull from the Patron. He drank it till it was empty and then threw the bottle against the wall. "Tommy," Julie said, "I told you to stop it now." "Fuck you, you dumb whore," Tommy said. He grabbed Julie by the back of her head with his left hand. He pulled back his right arm and made a fist. "Don't you dare, you son of a bitch," Sadie said. She aimed the gun at Tommy. Tommy looked at Sadie, grinned, and brought his fist down into Julie's face.